dear colleagues, it is an honor to present today at this important conference. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Kathrin Hetz, and I'm going to present today on the health threats of marketing exposure of unhealthy products to children and the WHO monitoring tools we have. I'm presenting on behalf of my team, that is the Special Initiative of NCDs and Innovation, part of the WHO Regional Office for Europe, and the work about marketing is led by my colleague Olga Sitinova. So why are we talking about this topic of marketing exposure to children? Once, because we have concerningly high rates of childhood overweight and obesity in our region that range from around 1 in 3 children living with overweight obesity in the region, and even 12% that are living with obesity. That is concerning because when children are living with overweight obesity in their childhood, it is very likely that they will also have that during the adulthood, because the behaviors are most likely, it's harder to change when they grow up. Another concerning trend is our salt intake levels in the region. You can see from on the left side of the graph, the daily salt intake in adults in grams, and on the bottom, like all the countries of our region. And the red line are the 5 grams of salt intake per day that should not be exceeded based on the WHO recommendations. So we see that most of the regions are having an increased salt intake, which can be really concerning, especially when it comes to the risk of hypertension and cardiovascular diseases. When children are learning really early in life what is a very sugary or very salty taste, and they grow up with that, it is even harder to change that behavior later on in life, because like your taste gets really used to that. So that's why it's important to get the food to children that is less salty and less sugary, to have a healthy taste for food without the high levels of salt and sugar. So what is then marketing concerned with that? Of course, the more marketing we see, the more it influences the behavior of children. We have here a little graph that like the marketing influences the attitudes, the expectations and preferences, and the purchase consumptions. So while being exposed to marketing, we develop this preference for certain types of food that we're seeing a lot, but also then crave that more when we're in the supermarket. Children are nudging parents more to buy specific products because they have been exposed a lot before during the marketing. That is not only for products that are seen online, on TVs, on streets, whatever marketing they are exposed to, but even only to the brand name. We have many studies that show that children aged 3 to 5 can already with a high accuracy recognize brands, but even match them to specific products, which is of course concerning because some of these children can't even read, but they already have this understanding what a brand is and which products they are selling. So having this brand understanding can then lead to a specific brand loyalty later in life, which is like created in childhood and taken on into adulthood. And then it's very hard to, again, change that behavior. So if certain preferences are created by early advertisements, it will have an impact in adults' life later. So often unhealthy products are promoted. Studies reveal that around 80% of the top brand sales come from unhealthy products. The marketing is often for calorie-dense or nutrient-poor foods, and only strong public health regulations can stop this trend, because we have seen that self-regulation is not really working. So we really need the regulation. What kinds of advertisements can be promoted to children? The trend goes more towards digital advertisements. Here you can see how much companies and advertising is spent on digital and media spending. That is the blue curve. It's like the total amount of media spending, and the red one is the change. And you see that the digital ad spending is increasing year by year by year, and was expected when this graph was done to be at $785 billion in 2025. That is a challenge because digital advertisement is more personalized and can be more targeted. So when the advertiser has all data points about children, about their interests, about what they like to see, the marketing that can then be targetedly sent to them is more impactful, and the messages are stronger received by the child. So what is WHO then doing against that? In 2010, the WHO's set of recommendations was developed based on a WHO resolution that has different recommendations on 5 different categories. It starts with the rationale the policy should have, how the policy should be developed, implemented, monitored, and evaluated, and how the research should be done, or what research is important for that. So this framework has been developed in 2010, but is still very relevant. And we are still working closely to the framework because it is important to get all these points right to protect children from the unhealthy marketing. We see more and more that big companies and big industry is influencing health in a negative way. The impact of the commercial determinants of health have a huge presence at the moment. I think it's a widely discussed topic, which is really important because due to those 4 commercial industries, alcohol, tobacco, unhealthy food, and fossil fuel, every day 7,400 deaths are caused per day, only in the WHO European region. That also increases health inequities and it prevents and delays healthy public policies. Because of the influence of the industry, policies are often delayed or weakened or watered down, and that prevents the population from being protected from this harmful influence of the industries. We have recently published a report on the commercial determinants of non-communicable diseases in our region. If you scan the code, you can read the report, which includes 35 regional case studies, giving more context to the theory. So what has really happened or what is happening in our region in the regards of commercial determinants. Our team is now working in 3 different categories to address the commercial determinant, which is also marketing is one part of those. We are mapping, monitoring, and trying to regulate the marketing exposure of unhealthy products to children. We have different products that can help to objectively measure the marketing exposure. It is really important to have an accurate measure of that to see different trends, but also to convince policymakers to take action, because when you have strong data through monitoring, it is more convincing, and also you can check the compliance with industry if they stick to policies that are implemented to prevent the exposure of unhealthy advertisement to children. To do that, to differentiate food products that are allowed to be marketed to children and the ones that are not allowed to be marketed, that can be done with the WHO nutrient profile model, which has different categories and different thresholds for different nutrients. So it has, for example, a threshold on sugar. So that means a product is only allowed to be marketed to children if it has 0 grams of sugar or X grams of fat. So it can be checked per each category, what are the thresholds that a product is allowed to be marketed or not, which is really important to have an objective measurement and also to make it easier for the industry to comply to regulations. To monitor, we have different protocols and tools developed. We have the TV monitoring protocol that is often used as an entrance tool to build capacity within the research team, and then to move to, for example, digital marketing monitoring, or also outdoor marketing monitoring, or monitoring of marketing in games. These protocols are all available online and are here for research teams to be implemented in their countries. Some studies that have been completed by some countries of our region is the TV marketing study. As mentioned, it is often a well-used tool to enter the monitoring work. It's quite straightforward. The TV program is recorded and then afterwards, based on the protocol, analyzed. And we are publishing some fact sheets about already existing marketing studies of the TV marketing. Then we have the click monitoring framework, which is a tool that has 5 steps to objectively monitor the marketing exposure. Especially the 3rd and the 4th step are really looking on the screen of the children, what they are exposed to. And several countries have already piloted that methodology. Some have piloted the investigate exposure step. Some are now piloting the capture on screen step. which are both happening on the children's device, but have slightly different methods. The capture on screen application that is used to monitor the marketing exposure on the screen of the child, for example, on the phone, is called KidAd app. And it has won the Lead Innovation Challenge. It was rewarded as one of the 5 best innovations in the WHO region globally. And we are very happy to proceed with the development of this app. We are currently piloting it in 2, or starting the piloting in 2 countries, and see how we can adapt the app that it's available for all member states in the region. The app is free of charge for member states and can really give a very extensive overview what are kids in a country seeing on their phone every day in their normal environment. This application is at the moment only trained to recognize advertisements on food and drinks, but we also plan to extend the work with it and also train it for vaping products, alcohol products, and also breast milk substitute products, because the marketing from BMS products to mothers and parents is quite extensively as well and quite concerning. What have we seen so far? In the Investigate Exposure study, which also has a tool that monitors the marketing on the children's devices, has shown in Norway, which had a self-regulatory approach, that even though they had the self-regulation and industry committed to not advertise to children, we saw that children saw out of 10 advertisements, 8 of food advertisements were not permitted to be marketed to children according to the WHO nutrient profile model. So it's a clear indicator that the self-regulation is not working, and only mandatory regulation can really help to protect children from the harmful exposure. Another emerging problem that we're seeing a lot is the brand marketing that I've touched on before, the early exposure to brands that can create the brand loyalty, but then also the advertisement on meal delivery apps and kind of the nudging to order more on those applications, which lead to a higher calorie intake, because often the meals that you get delivered through those apps are larger, often higher in salt and higher in calories. And the marketing for that, of course, is nudging people to get it more often. And marketing in gaming. Gaming is really popular in children and adolescents, but more and more advertisement is included in those games. So we are publishing a report on that topic soon as well. It's an upcoming and concerning challenge. This was a very short presentation about the topic of marketing, the different tools the WHO has, and the work stream we're working on. We're very happy to take any questions afterwards, so please reach out, and thank you very much for your attention.